Hi, it's Steve-O, the veteran with PTSD travels. Actually considering changing that name. Not really sure. Oh, horseflies are bugging. If I scream into this video, you're gonna know why. Horseflies and deer flies are screaming around my head right now. Anyways, I'll get up here where I get moving and hopefully they bug me a little bit less. Anyway, think about changing the name of the channel. Not really sure about the. I think it's just going to be something more apt. Would be maybe like traveling or no, living with PTSD. Maybe, yeah, something like that. Because I'd like it. I'd like to continue, but I felt bad about constantly talking about where I was in life, and I wasn't traveling at all, and just dealing with PTSD and anxiety and stuff like that. And it was like, there's other things that are happening, stop me from doing my travels. But I've actually missed making the videos, so I know it's all in a name, but I'm a very literal person, as I've been learning lately. I'm about to get bit. This is going to be a funny video, sorry. Anyway, yeah, so a very literal person. And I've learned recently, and not recently, let me clarify that. I've figured out, I knew I've always been literal, but it's to an extreme for me, basically. So if the name of the channel was Veteran with PTSD Travels, I think it, personally for me, I have to be doing it for travel. When clearly that's not, logically, I know that that's not a thing. Oh, nice! Friends of Ours Place sold. Well, that's fantastic. That's good for them. Sorry. Anyways, oh, I'm so happy for them. They've been trying to sell for about 2 years now, so that's really good. Yeah, being literal, don't have to be. Logically, I know that I can do whatever I want with the channel, but it's just the way that I roll, so it is what it is. So yeah, maybe living with PTSD, right, might be a more apt description, because then it's just all encompassing. Oh my goodness, excuse me. Got my coffee, and in the sunshine. Dog's behind me. She wants to go home already. We just started. Anyway. So yeah, there's not really much of an update. I mean, there's lots of things going on in my life. But I'm doing actually fairly well. Still have a lot of high anxiety moments. Learning how to deal with them a little bit. Much better than I was. Let's just put it that way. And you've got to start somewhere. So I had, I've learned that carrying noise canceling earbuds is very smart for me. I tried doing Costco one day. I was like, you know what? I haven't done Costco in a bit, and I haven't. Oh, sorry, this one's really trying to get me. He just landed on me a couple times. Tried to do Costco, and it was going really well, actually, even though it was a crowded day. It was a Saturday. That was silly. But so what I learned was that I was doing well, but once I got overwhelmed, it wasn't the crowds this time. Crowds and the noises were something. It was the extra sense of the smells in the laundry aisle, of all things, the cleaning aisle. So that totally tipped the scale, and it overwhelmed me. And then all the noises and the crowd and everything like that just really started to bother me. So walked out, put my noise canceling headphones in, and basically just started walking out. I was like, completely desperate to get out of there. And I got out. It took me about 15 minutes of breathing and crying to be able to get to the point where I could drive safely. But those things are going to happen, right? I've got to test it out and see what's going on. Now that I'm finally starting to get in a slightly better place, I've got to continue doing these things to see where I stand in life. For a long time, I couldn't do those things because I was just too overwhelmed with everything. But now that I'm not overwhelmed with life in general, it's been like I'm starting to be able to do other pieces of my healing journey. So I can't remember if in my last video I said I got an apartment in the city. It's not, I mean, it's an apartment. It's a short-term rental is what it is. There's no kitchen. It's a kitchenette. There's no sink. I've got to wash my dishes in the bathroom. But you know what? It got me out of the cottage for a month, and now a month and a bit. And it's really started processing my, been able to start really processing some things and learning how to handle life. And that's really what's been helpful. So that's allowed me now to get back to the cottage. And last night, actually the last 2 nights, I overdid it, but that's fine. The last 2 nights, I slept at the cottage for the first time since May. Because in May, once I got to the city and I was able to like start, decompressing from the grief and everything and the pain that the cottage caused me, the cottage now is, what am I trying to say? The cottage is just super painful. But being in the city, I'm now able to start processing some of these things and learning how to deal. And I had initially started staying at the cottage. Like, I was like, okay, I'm going to go home to the cottage and I'm going to stay, the weekend and spend time with the friends. Or I'm going to spend time with the daughter or just by myself or with the dog or whatever. And I was like, this is what I'm going to do. And every time I made those plans before I started actually healing, I couldn't. So what I learned was I needed to rebuild happiness and acceptance and love into the cottage, to overcome the grief that was happening there, the grief and the pain. So with that in mind, I started doing like short trips, like 1 hour trip, and then a 2 hour trip, and then a 3 hour trip. And eventually last night, I was able to get into last 2 nights, I was actually able to stay the night. So that's a thing to remember when you're dealing with PTSD, grief, anxiety, all of these things that are happening to us in our lives. If you're overwhelmed with what's happening, try doing it slower. Maybe you're trying too much too fast. That's what I was doing. Way too fast. Way too much, way too fast. And so now I'm just like, you know what? I've got to really take my time and process things before I start. Hopefully you can hear me with this wind. I'm going to do a quick little show. This is the lake just out. Lots of pollen in the water right now. That's just pollen, not algae. And yeah, it's a beautiful spot. This is a different view than what I normally show you, so this is kind of nice. And yeah, and back at it. So I'm so on those things I'm doing well. The city's treating me really well. Now I'm starting to, oh, here comes the geese. I can hear them letting us know that we're a little too close. So before I get attacked, I'm definitely walking away. He's not happy. Anyway, here we are. So pieces that learning to cope, learning to manage, learning to deal with some of these stresses has been, vital. And one of them has been like learning to keep your noise canceling headphones on. Dealing with one thing at a time, right? I've got to actually remind myself of that right now, because since helping myself with a lot of the cottage grief, and I mean, I had my PTSD from my past work life, and then was compounded again by an extra layer of PTSD and grief from Michelle's passing. So those things were all really important. Now that I'm, doing a little bit better with the grief and the PTSD, that layer of PTSD. One second, just switching hands. Haven't done this in a while. My arm is sore from holding it up. Anyways. So, having worked on those layers, or that one layer at least of the PTSD with the tied to the grief in the cottage, the grief was really I was trying to do way too many things at once. I was working on the cottage, I was working on the grief, I was working on my PTSD, I was working on everything, trying to understand. And I was working on relationships, and then I was working on friends, and then trying to work on myself, and then trying to help my my children and friends. And I just was trying to do so much that I couldn't do anything. And my healing had stalled for quite a while, I realized. So now I as soon as I moved to the city, I was able to really dial it back, dial it in, and start concentrating on one piece at a time. But I couldn't even I didn't even have the wherewithal to concentrate on one piece at a time when I was in the when I was staying in the cottage. My mind was frazzled, and I was still in that heightened state of alert, and I was never leaving it. I thought I was, but I really hadn't ever left that heightened state of alert while I was living at the cottage. So now, I will state this part. The cottage is still my primary residence, and it will be my primary residence forever and a day. It's these pieces where I had to leave and stay elsewhere for a month or two. Because this is June's second month. I'll probably be gone until end of August, let's say, right? As a vacation from the cottage. It's a staycation in Halifax, just to work on those pieces. And I realize I'm really frazzled at the moment. It's new getting back into chatting about about myself again. I know I did it for videos every second day, and anyways, I hope you can manage my my chaotic thought processes. All this to say, so deer tracks. They are pretty new. They actually look very fresh since last night. In fact, watch out, Shadow. Don't step in it. 1 second. Let's see if I would say it's more like a baby deer. It's probably like a fawn. So that's a really small track. It's a lot of, I love the cottage at this time of year. Spring to fall is my favorite time here. The winter is beautiful too, don't get me wrong. I'm just not a winter fan. But the wildlife out here right now, aside from the deer and horseflies that are chasing me, and this one gnat that's buzzing around my lips, the dragonflies, the butterflies, the squirrels, the birds. I saw a couple, just seeing all kinds of amazing wildlife, and I love it. So it just reminds me that why this was such a happy place, and it's why I'm working so hard on returning it into a happy place. for myself. So yeah, I'm telling you, for anybody that wonders how PTSD, so for people that don't have it, right? For those, and then the people that do are going to be, yep, that sounds about right. And then the people who don't have it, I'm going to hopefully try to describe a little bit of it. Fucking terror. Yep, that's mine. So that's my PTSD. Not everybody's is the same. But my body, let's just take Costco for instance. Costco is clearly not a dangerous spot. It can be aggravating. It can be frustrating. But that's really all that that's really all that it used to be for me, was frustrating or aggravating, dealing with crowds, dealing with people that were not as considerate as as others, as I don't know how to explain that. I like to think that I'm a very considerate person. And so when I'm in a crowd of people and they are not also considerate, it's just frustrating to me. And I don't understand. That's the thing. That's a me problem, and I'm working on it, obviously. But so that's what Costco used to be for me. When I was there that day, it was Costco. So I was walking around. I looked up. I saw a line of people. I was like, "Oh boy!" The lineups actually were from the tills all the way down to like the meat section. And I was like, "Holy cow!" And it wasn't just one line. There was the opposite side of the store had another line that long too, and then the self checkouts had a line that long too. Probably should have turned around and walked away right then and there. However, I was on a mission to see if I could putting things in the cart, and so the crowd, whatever, the noise, whatever. They were there, but more. I was trying to be very mindful of my frustration levels and everything, using some of the self-soothing techniques that I've been practicing with my therapist and everything like that. And it was working. It was doing quite well until that one point. And there was like a switch. A friend of mine was with me, and she said she could see the instant everything changed, because my face went completely blank. My eyes got as big as pies. My pupils just went completely dilated, and I was searching for all the dangers, and I couldn't. So this is what it does, for me at least, is it takes me from like a state where I'm usually paying attention to the world around me to a state where I'm hyper aware of everything around me. My eyes dart. I had a full body flush. I went into, so I felt like I was overheating, but I was cold to the touch. And I broke out in immediate sweat all over my body. My chest was caving in. It felt like there was somebody like sitting on my chest. But not just sitting on my chest, but also like squeezing and constricting from all sides. And it just like, then my eyes were going everywhere. My mind could not focus on anything because I was too busy. My mind's too busy searching for the danger. So it's not even like, so if somebody said to you, just breathe. Well, I'm telling you right now, if someone is in a heightened state of panic like that, and your only piece of advice is just breathe, it's not that helpful. That is a piece of it, don't get me wrong, but they're not going to be able to just breathe and work their way through it. There's going to be other cues that they're going to, that like for me, for instance, that I need. I needed to block off one of my senses because one of my senses was being all of my senses were being overloaded at this point. And I just couldn't concentrate on anything. And it was like I needed to run away, but I was frozen at the same time. It's extremely hard to explain. I don't think I'm really doing it justice, but this is something I've been wanting to talk about for a little bit, actually. And I never really had the chutzpah to do so. Well, Shadow's going to be happy. We're walking back towards the cottage now. Good girl. So, yeah. It's debilitating is what it is. There's a reason that it's, I just got a spider web in my face. One of those ones that just floats around. All right. So yeah, it's just completely debilitating is what it is. And so I went, well, my friend, basically, I had a thing of cheese in my cart. That was the only perishable. We left the cart. She grabbed the cheese, grabbed my hand. I put my earbuds in, and she led me out of the store. And I really couldn't even get there. I couldn't force my feet to move. I was stuck in the aisle. It's not that I was catatonic. I've been catatonic once. That was terrifying all on its own. That's another story for another day. But yeah, I was literally frozen in fear and trying to find out where the danger was because I couldn't. I mean, if danger had presented itself, I think I would be able to act. But I can't. That's the whole point, is that something triggers the PTSD and the anxiety and the fear, and I can't find the fear because there's nothing actually to fear. So I'm stuck trying to find the thing that made me so afraid, but there's not actually anything there. And that's what's so bloody hard about this. So for me, it's just really, and then it's really frustrating. So my friend she gets me, drops off the cheese, leads me to the store. I'm listening to my music, noise canceling, buds are in, music's blaring in my ears. And by the time, so this, now here's the secondary piece of my PTSD. My PTSD isn't just from work. I also have a bodily injury. My, herniated discs in the back. And I mean, like right now, I'm walking mostly comfortably. At Costco, by the time I got to the car, because of this PTSD attack, it wasn't even an anxiety. Like, I don't even know how to explain it. It's like a PTSD attack. By the time I got to the car, I wished that I had brought my cane because I couldn't walk. I was making noises. I was like, I was doing the whole like limp like this. Like my back was shot. My sciatica was like, my foot was on fire. I had dagger stabbing into my testicle. Like, these are all things that happen when the nerve gets impinged. So that's how I was. That's what happened. My brain went, "Oh, you're there, and you're back. You're right back to getting injured again. You're back to getting broken again." And my body felt it. So I sit in the seat of my car. I finally got to the seat of my car. I'm having spasms in my back. Everything is on fire, and I just start to cry. I'm finally safe. I'm in my car, so I'm starting to feel safe, and then my body starts to come down from that chaotic, anxious state, that paralyzed state. And as I'm coming down from it, I just start bawling. And people don't like it when I say it. People that don't have this issue don't like it when I say it. I'm sure that people that have the same issue as I do will understand what I mean, in that as I'm coming down from this state and I start to bawl and my back pain is spasming and everything like that, I hate myself. I hate my body. I hate my brain. There's a lot of hatred in me at that moment for all things Stephen. And it's really hard. So, and I was just like, honestly, I've actually had worse experiences. It took me hours to come down from that. And so anybody that has heard, and I've talked about it a couple times before, I think maybe, I'm not in danger of self-harm. I know I have a lot of things to live for. I have a lot of people to live for. Actually, it's not even people. I have a lot of me to live for, and I have a lot of life left to live. So I'm not in danger of self-harm. However, in that moment, I understand those 22 veterans a day that do self-harm. And all I can say to you, brothers and sisters, military or not, if you're dealing with PTSD in any way, shape, or form, you are definitely a brother or a sister to me. And I see you, and I feel you, and I hear you, and it hurts. I do get emails. If anybody, I don't even know how to go about this, but if anybody sees this and regarding, their own PTSD, or they're ever in trouble, please reach out. Either, to me, I'm not really qualified to help you, but for God's sake, I will listen, and I will help you get through that time, that those minutes or those hours that you're terrified and that you're going to do something. If you don't want to reach out to me, reach out to somebody, please. It's hard. It's so lonely. Even when you have somebody sitting right beside you, like I did in that car at Costco. I felt like I was miles away from everybody, and that I was all alone. With constant reassurance and some help, hand holding or just words of affirmation, trying to help soothe me when I couldn't self-soothe. I was able to come back and realize that I wasn't alone. Try not to stay alone. That's all that I want you. That's all I hope for you. You're not alone. And it's nigh impossible to be there at that moment. But I hope that you come out of it quickly enough that you realize that you're not alone. Holy shit. I said I didn't have a whole lot to talk about, but I guess I did. That's heavy. I've been missing these videos. So, people may see them, people may not see them. I don't care. I processing these events in my life is something that I need to do for me, and the videos help me do it. Posting on YouTube helps keep me accountable, and that is something that I want to do. Favor for friends of mine. If you notice it's been, over a week and I haven't posted a video, reach out. Please reach out. I do appreciate when people reach out. I have been reaching out more often to people, not always capable. And because I don't reach out doesn't mean that I don't love you all. It just means that I'm going through some shit. And my shit makes it hard for me part of my problem is that I don't want to be a burden on other people. So, and you can tell me till you're blue in the face that I'm not a burden to you. I still don't want to be a burden to people. It's hard. It's just hard. Holy shit, I've been talking for 30 minutes. Woof. All right. It's been going on long enough. I think that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to see if I can change my my profile or my name, my channel name to Living with PTSD. Excuse me. I think that it feels more appropriate. Because I don't want anyone to feel. I don't want to. It feels more appropriate for me. And at the same note, I don't want to put out there that only people that are veterans can have PTSD. PTSD comes in many forms, many shapes. I have one friend that was she was robbed at it was either knife or gunpoint, I can't remember. And she has PTSD, let me fucking tell you. Talk about feeling unsafe in the world. I know that police officers, paramedics, 911 operators, firefighters, veterans, obviously. But it's not just related to those professions that you're going to have PTSD. You can have PTSD from many, many, many things in your life. And you're not alone. And it's okay that you do. It sucks that you do, and I'm sorry that you do. But you don't have to be one of those professions to have PTSD. And don't let anybody make you feel badly or poorly that you do, if you have it. It's not your choice. It's definitely not your choice that you have PTSD. So in any way, shape, or form, in whatever way that you have this brain injury, I see you. Holy cow, I'm being attacked by horseflies. On that note, they're really starting to get to me. So I'm going to concentrate on swatting these buggers away. I'm going to sign off. This is Steve from Life with PTSD. I love you all, and I appreciate those who actually listen to the end. Okay, bye.